welcome to Dress Stories. This is our very first guest of season 2. This is Kent McKay, and we're just delighted to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Thanks for coming.
I don't need any extra excuses to come here. It's a happy place.
Right? Yes, I find that it is a happy place for lots of people, but thank you. I'm grateful that you said that. So why don't you just start by telling our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do for work. And then we'll get right into some deep, dark questions about fashion.
Dark questions. Well, we'll start light. I'm a prairie boy, born and raised in the heart of Alberta, which, if you don't know, is Stettler, according to the billboard outside of town.
You're born in Stettler.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. And I moved to Edmonton in 2005 to finish my English degree at the University of Alberta. And I had plans on leaving, but I never did. It got me. I work for an architectural practice here in the city. I've been working there for over a decade now. And when I'm not doing that, you can find me at my house cooking, baking. I think you've seen some of those Instagram posts.
I have. Yes.
I think you've tried some of my preserves, actually.
It was a rhubarb preserve during COVID.
Yes.
It was the best. I love rhubarb. Yeah.
That chutney.
Yeah.
And when I'm not cooking and baking and working, I'm out pounding the pavements across the city looking for vintage treasures, usually.
Nice.
Sometimes maybe I'm at the pub across the street as well.
Got to have some of that in there, thrown in there too. You know, this is not something that a lot of people know, but Kent actually is a big fan of Julia Childs and has done you've made that beef bourguignon, right? And I've seen it on Instagram and I've thought, oh, you know, I'm coming over, start the car.
Oh, I wish you could smell it cooking. And it's such a long process. I'm pretty sure my neighbors hate me on those days. It's like all-consuming, potent, but it's delicious. That's the only dish I think that I've had the courage to tackle from that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're also, I think your aesthetic reflects it. And also with your cooking, you and I have a similar love for China and for beautiful things like Alessi and what's our China that we love?
Little Royal Crown Derby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you've got the blue Mikado.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm sure that is all part of your aesthetic, is having beauty in all aspects.
Absolutely.
Correct?
You should always live beautifully, because why not integrate it into all of those little everyday things and expose yourself to more, right?
Right. Hallelujah. Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
So how would you describe your personal style, and how do you think it's evolved over the last, say 10 years or so?
I like drapey things. I like dark things. I like romantic things. I just like beauty. And that's kind of the form of beauty that I think I've always been the most attracted to. I've recently, I think COVID kind of changed style a little bit for me as well. Comfort became something that I demanded. Before it wasn't so important to me, but comfort now every day is and wearability is critical to me. And I blame the couple of years just wearing sweatpants and working from home on that.
So that was one of the questions, is about comfort. So how do you balance comfort and high fashion in your everyday life?
The material, the way that it fits. I think it's super easy. When you find that right piece, you know that it's comfortable. You don't want to take it off. But you also marvel at it when you look in the mirror. Right. So those are the right pieces. I think I'm slowly over time getting better at choosing the right pieces. I'm sure that I've probably walked out of Swish once or twice with things where you're like, he's not going to wear that. Because it's an experiment, right? And there's some things that are very fanciful and fun and different, and it's like they're amazing, but I just wasn't able to really integrate them into the everyday as much. So I think I'm slowly over time getting better at integrating comfort and beauty into the same pieces.
Right. Don't you think too that a lot of the designers took the cues from COVID? Because I mean, just being in a retail situation, we couldn't sell high heels to save our lives. And even there was all the jokes about pants. People weren't even wearing regular pants because they were, just wearing their pajama pants in Zoom meetings. So I think a lot of designers probably now have said, I think it's the pendulum has swung so far. So we now have to incorporate beauty with.
I think you're right. And that pendulum metaphor is really apt because I think we're all wanting to get away from anything that reminds us of the COVID era. So maybe we'll see,
COVID.
maybe we don't want anything that reminds us of the lockdowns right now. Maybe we're going towards glamour and, beauty. But maybe, I don't know. The pendulum, it does feel like it's always swinging.
It always swings.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, did you have somebody in your life that was really fashionable and that you took some cues from?
Well, I grew up in a very small town. Stettler has 5,000 residents, so it's a small prairie town. Lots of oil, lots of agriculture. My family actually operated the auction mart. So we were right in there. We were embedded in that community.
Was it animals or was it farm
everything?
Closures,
animals, estates, household, livestock, antiques, everything. So there wasn't a lot of style that I could perceive, at least any style that spoke to me really growing up. And
but you're saying that you already had a sense of knowing that was not your aesthetic. You did know
I didn't relate.
Okay.
I didn't really fit in with it. And there were these little windows that I would have. My parents owned Dolly Parton records. And as a little kid, I would put on my mom's high heels and grab a mic and I'd trail around the house singing Dolly Parton. And I would look at the liner notes. And, that was, to me, I thought that was beauty. That was fashion. That was style. I didn't see it in Stettler, but I knew it was out there. It was elsewhere.
What an inspo.
Dolly, ABBA, Diana Ross. I got my hands on any of the things that those women made.
Yeah.
Because my parents had them in the house and I just thought that's what I like. That's beauty.
Fantastic. Well, she still is beautiful. She's inspires
incredible.
A lot.
Yeah.
And she's done a lot for the community, which makes it even more beautiful. So I just asked that question as far as, how did your community shape who you are or how you were able to express your style? I
think my community growing up.
Yeah.
I think I kind of developed an interest in things that were outside of my community. And that's kind of a double-edged sword, I think, growing up. Because I was a kid that didn't really fit in. Believe it or not, I didn't have a lot of friends in Stettler growing up. Yeah. So it was kind of this lonely, isolated childhood as a result of, my tastes and my interests. And you could see that as a negative, but I kind of took it as an opportunity to develop an identity that was really my own, and wasn't really influenced much by the community that was around me. I didn't have community in that regard. But at that time, this was the mid-90s, the internet blew up. Suddenly everybody was using it. Everybody had it at home. So when I found something I liked, I could kind of open up a little window into that world of beauty and style and fashion. And that's what happened for me.
I know that you weren't singular.
I wasn't alone.
No.
I thought on a scale of 1 to weird, I was like a 3, maybe. When I found the really out there stuff, I was actually, I think my interest in fashion began in 1997. I'll never forget. I can pinpoint the day.
1997. Okay.
1997. And I was at the record store on Main Street in Stettler, which was surprisingly well stocked. And I found this album cover. And it was Bjork's 1997 Homogenic album. And she's wearing contact lenses and this elaborate updo. And she has all kinds of rings stretching her neck. And she's wearing this beautiful Japanese-inspired dress. And she's got long blue frosted acrylic fingernails. And she's just staring at you straight on. And I was like, I don't know who this is. I don't know what music this is. I don't know if it's a band or a singer. I'm buying it. Because I needed that picture.
I love that.
So I got it home and I ripped open the liner notes and it was like dress, Alexander McQueen, photography, Nick Knight. And so then I started to search those people because I wanted more of that. And I really do credit her probably with my interest in fashion being the root.
Bjork Bjork was way ahead of her time, and I'm sure that there are a lot of young people that she spoke to them and deep in their hearts. And still.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what about your community now? What's the influence in your community, or do you feel an influence of fashion and style, or just how you are in the world from your community?
In Edmonton? There's pockets of people that I really jive with and I feel an affinity with. And Swish is definitely one of those places that I come to experience that community. I think Edmonton still, it's still pretty conservative taste. Maybe not as conservative as Stettler was, but I think it's still a pretty, we like humility, we like modesty, we like simplicity. And I still feel a little bit self-conscious sometimes if something is ostentatious or a little showy. So you kind of have to stand on your own in those moments, I guess.
Right. And just own it. I mean, you've got these incredible boots on.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
They're more comfortable than they look. I actually really like them.
You always look fantastic. And it's very simplistic. I mean, it's not, it's black on black often. And do you have a favorite designer?
Rick Owens.
Need I ask?
All day, every day, Rick Owens. If Bjork was my fashion awakening, just seeing it on a screen and kind of discovering it here, Rick Owens was discovering it like here and here. I'll never forget it. I went to Rick Owens' display in Simon's in 2015. And I found this kangaroo leather biker vest. And I was like, I have to have that. That's more than I've spent on any piece of clothing ever. And it's a paycheck, but I have to have it. And then that fall, he released his Sphinx collection. And that's where this cashmere thing is from. I saw this on a mannequin and I was just like, I have to have that. It was so huge and long and drapey and romantic. And I was just like, that's 2 paychecks. And I need it. And so it's like, I'll get my credit card out. And I waited. I wasn't that bad. I waited for it to go on sale, but I definitely knew I needed it. And finding him and these designs and these pieces that I just felt so comfortable in, that was the first time I actually really felt proud of what I was showing on the outside. I felt like it matched my inside for the first time.
Oh.
And that was so empowering.
Now, Rick Owens, for somebody who is not familiar with Rick Owens, he's American, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Californian.
Has been around for quite some time. When I think of Rick Owens, who I think of is Iggy Pop. Right?
He's deeply inspired by Iggy Pop. I don't know if he's done a collection directly about Iggy Pop, but his style.
That's my vision. When I think Rick Owens, I think Iggy Pop. Yeah.
Well, they're always shirtless and they're leathery. Like they got the long hair.
Unusual looking.
Punk.
Yeah, punk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So, have you felt pressure from your community or your social circles to sort of maintain a kind of style or a look?
No, I don't think so. I think I've been okay to do stuff on my own terms, and I don't think anyone's ever really troubled me about it. Growing up, I think a lot of folks had a vested interest in trying to tone down everything that I was and everything that I liked and everything that I was into, but that's been a long time since I felt that way. Yeah.
It just reminds me of my sister. And my sister came out in the 80s, I guess. And it's funny because she was with women and identified as a lesbian for most of her life. And now she's with a man. And on my dad's dying bed, I said, oh, Jacqueline's with this guy, and he was like, what?
He's like, I just wrapped my head around that.
Took him 30 years. He was from Ponoka or Lacombe area,
bless.
Right?
Yeah, tough place to be queer. Yeah.
Right? But my sister always felt that my parents thought she was too much, too loud, too showy, and we were talking about this word too, TOO. You're too something, and to feel good in who you are now and stuff is that's a big leap. That's a big place.
It's hard. It's hard. And I think that's why fashion is more than just a luxury or more than just a kind of superfluous practice, because clothing really does give you that ability to feel comfortable and safe in your own skin.
whether that's hiding or whether that's
armor.
Yeah.
Daphne Guinness is another person that I really look up to style-wise.
Oh, Daphne Guinness.
She talks about her clothing and her jewelry as armor.
Right.
Because she's a very shy person, and I think she holds some insecurities. I certainly do. And sometimes I think the wildest clothing and the wildest style can kind of protect you from people sometimes.
People assume that somebody like yourself or me in vintage fashion, that we're gregarious and that we're extroverts and stuff, but oftentimes I go home and I have to have quiet and I have to
Are you an introvert too?
I think some people would disagree with that, but I do like to be alone and I like to have for sure. But I also I'm that kind of
good balance,
pendulum swing.
Yep.
Okay, so accessories or no accessories?
Accessories. Okay. I love accessories. I struggle with it because if I put too many on, I feel self-conscious. So I'm always trying to get that balance of like, how many can I get away with?
I say 10.
But I love it. Oh, 10. Okay. I feel like ladies might be able to get away with more.
No, I wear glasses, so I don't wear earrings most of the time because I find it's too much around my face.
But this is what I'm saying. Sometimes I feel like if I wear glasses, then I shouldn't wear a necklace or shouldn't, there's like these calculations happening.
In our mind, we have rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you've got amber.
I love amber. I love how warm it is. This is my new favorite. I got it from you not that long ago, and I'm just obsessed with it.
So it did not look like this when you got it. It is so beautiful and clean and shiny and polished, and I almost want it back. Right?
And some people love patina. I like things to be shiny when I first get them, and then I can put my own
nicer, shiny.
Yeah, but I do love amber. I have a lot of it.
What do you know about amber? Anything? Besides where its origins are, Baltic.
I love that its origins are so ancient and that sometimes you can get insect inclusions in it. I love all of the variety of colors and textures and like the glimmeriness that can be in it. I've been told that it can absorb negative energy from you or your surroundings. I guess either is a good thing.
Right.
I've been cautioned that I should cleanse it because of that fact. That
with secondhand or with any
regular cleansing, I guess, to remove any kind of negativity that it's absorbed. I've never done that though.
I love this piece too. It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. These modernist silver amber pieces really grab my eye always.
Right. And you don't wear glasses. You don't need to wear glasses, but you love glasses.
I have a mild astigmatism, and that was all the excuse I needed to start collecting glasses. But at first I wasn't super excited about that because I thought this is another obstacle that's going to get in the way of my personal style and what I like.
I'm seeing some glasses over there.
Yes, because I was lucky enough to find some local opticians that deal in really nice eyewear. Because I didn't know this at the time, but when you go to the mall and you pop into a big box kind of optical shop, all those glasses are made by the same people, regardless of what designer. It's really? Luxottica that manufactures all of them.
Oh, I did not know
the entire
that.
Store. But here in Edmonton, there's a local optician called the Observatory, and they bring in more artisanal, small batch, limited, exclusive pieces. So this is probably an example of the eyewear I like.
These are like Mad Max.
They are kind of post-apocalyptic for sure.
Yeah.
So what the deal with these is that they're made in Italy by this German design duo. I believe one of them is an architect, and they do hand embellished pieces every year. So the little wires that protrude, the little kind of half moons, these were added on to an existing style that they sell.
Okay, let's see.
So they're crazy.
Wow.
Right.
But you know what? When you're looking at them just on the table or in your hand, you're just thinking, "Whoa!" But when they're actually on your face, they look They look fantastic. They look fantastic. I don't know that you'd want to be out tanning.
You'd get some really weird tan lines with these, but no, you're right.
Gorgeous.
They're functional and wearable art.
Do you have a prescription in them, or are they just a sunglass?
These I do have a prescription in. It's kind of hit or miss. I love them. Yeah, I've collected probably about 25 pairs of pieces from that place.
Those are fantastic.
Yeah, I love them.
when we talk about your favorite designer, it would be Rick Owens. And are there any other celebrities or icons or anybody else out there in the public sphere that inspire you besides Dolly?
Still Dolly, always
Right.
Dolly, and Bjork. I'm actually really inspired by Rick's wife, Muse, Michelle Lamy. She probably actually I find even more interesting than him. She's just
I'm
got
not
this.
as familiar, but I've
She's
seen
French.
her face. I've seen her in all their campaigns and stuff. Like
Yeah, she's just
Yeah.
the epitome of cool. She's considerably older than he is, and she's got this wonderful she's accepted every wrinkle. She wears it proudly. She draws a line down her forehead in henna every morning when she gets up, and she rubs henna all over her fingertips, and she just has this kind of witch-like aura that I find really captivating. But there's stylish people all around me all the time, including yourself and Natasha, that I just
thank you.
it gives me a little jolt of, oh yes, that's right, I should care about how I dress. Yeah.
Right. So speaking of Edmonton, we're from a prairie province here in a city that's also oil-based and stuff like that. Have you always felt safe here and comfortable here in your style?
I haven't had any super negative experiences. I think when you're a little different, you're bound to get stared at from time to time, not in a good way. And that does happen. The occasional slur, you think you heard out of a pickup truck. But for the most part, I've felt pretty safe here. Yeah.
I think Edmonton's a pretty fascinating city because we all choose to be here, and I just was recently in Toronto, and it's living in Edmonton with the expenses and the price that we pay to live is much cheaper than other big cities. So at least we get to travel more and go around.
Yeah.
And
the low overhead is nice.
The low overhead, that's 100%. Do you actually physically enjoy shopping?
I love it. And I try and when I go through, especially if I've splurged on something, I'm like, I'm not going to shop for a while. I'm going to, pay off whatever this is. But my body kind of just craves being out. Like I said, pounding the pavement earlier. I love walking around and shopping, the practice of shopping.
Obviously, you've already touched on this before, but you like secondhand and vintage, and you've brought this really incredible vintage piece over here that we'll take a peek at.
So I found this.
When I first saw that, I thought, wow.
I found it on a mannequin in the doorway of a little vintage boutique on White Ave.
Was it Junk Cellar?
Yes.
Oh,
it was the Junk
Cellar has
Cellar.
been around for a very long time. Yeah.
OG. I think 93, something like that.
Yeah, 30 some years she's been around. Yeah.
I saw this on the mannequin in the entry, and I was just like, I need this.
Right.
I need this. I love all the color. I love the details, and this embroidery looks so fine. And then I looked at the tag, and it was like tailored by California Ranchwear, and I was like, damn, this is 50s, like true old Hollywood cowboy style, but it was in rough shape. The satin yoke behind the tag was completely shredded, and all the buttons, some of them were missing, and all of them were like rusted, and they had that verdigris. But even so, I thought, I have to take this home. I've got a tailor. If you're into vintage, you need a tailor.
We have a great tailor too, and I tell you, if you shop vintage, you get a good tailor, and you are set for life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that they can't do to. This is incredible. I mean, this is 1940s when you say late 40s, 50s? Early 50s.
I trust your judgment on that.
Yeah.
But the detail's just exquisite, front and back. It's
beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And feel how heavy the fabric is. It's this.
Absolutely
is it wool?
Gorgeous. I think it's wool.
I think it's a wool blend, but it's not itchy. It's not too hot to wear when it's a little warm, and it's not. It does keep you warm in the winter.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful piece. I'm so happy with what she did with it.
It's gorgeous.
To give it a second life. Thank you.
I love it. So you have a really cozy, nice piece next to you on the arm of the sofa that I think we might.
For a second, I thought you were going to mention, and I was like, "That's not cozy." I'm like, "Did you touch that?"
The non-cozy. Let's see the non-cozy, because the non-cozy is like, Whoa.
Okay, so this is special for a couple reasons. Not very cozy, but it's special. I got this.
Cozy is subjective.
That's true. That's true. I got this on a shopping trip in New York with my best friend, Gloria.
Wow.
We went on a trip to New York. I'd never been before. And one of the stops that I had to make was Dover Street Market, because another designer I love is Comme des Garçons and Ray Kawakubo and all of the other people that she ropes in for that label. But this piece is Comme des Garçons en plus, so it's their mainline menswear stuff. And I just loved that it was kind of suggestive and provocative and
pretty racy. It's fabulous.
I was like, how will I wear this? What will I put underneath? But I just love this little suggestion of a strap, but the kind of sharp tailoring on the other side. It's so fun.
I love it.
It's so fun. Exactly half of a sleeveless blazer.
It's almost too, with this strap here, it's almost like the leather butcher stuff,
Totally.
Like the
a little Tom of
French.
Finland, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. It's fantastic.
Super fun. Always a conversation when you wear that out.
Oh, it's really.
You can put all kinds of fun things underneath it.
So what would you tell young Kent about life and fashion and Stettler and everything, that if you could go back in time and just give some words of advice?
I'd say it's all good. Just stay on the track that you're on and don't worry about it. Don't worry about what other people are saying. Don't worry about the jokes. Don't worry about the bullying. Don't worry about what they have to say. You're fine. You're fine. Just as you are.
And you are.
Leave it be.
Right.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet.
Well, you were our first guest with season 2, and I am just so incredibly honored to have you as our first guest. And I think it's just been perfect. And you got to see us through all of our setup and everything, which was
Pretty
great.
slick.
And
you guys have a good setup here.
but thank you again. We really appreciate you coming and being part of our Dress Story series.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.